Welcome, welcome to the Oscar Barnes Show. He talks about stuff, some of which he knows. Business, culture, family, and other. Consider him your middle-aged brother. Or not. It's up to you. Here's Oscar!
Welcome to the Oscar Barnes Show. I'm your host, Oscar Barnes, and Happy New Year. This is episode 2, titled Oscar's 6 Predictions for 2026. But first, how are you? How was Christmas? Did you get what you wanted, or did you just want it to be over? I am writing this the morning after Christmas, or as they call it in the UK, Boxing Day. Boxing Day got its name from when the wealthy estate-owning families would, on the day after Christmas, give gifts, aka boxes, to their servants in appreciation for their year of service. Can you imagine being on the receiving end of that? A year of hard work at poverty wages, polishing the silverware and cleaning the shotguns of Sir Dennis Eaton Loyne, only to receive, the day after Christmas, a small sterling keychain with your initials on it because Sir Loyne knows that one day you aspire to own your own motor vehicle, and if you're ever able to afford one, you'll always remember working at Thwackenbull Abbey. Anyway, Christmas. It is the ultimate celebration of consumerism invented by the companies from which we consumed the most. Coca-Cola gave us the modern-day image of Santa Claus in the big red jacket and the coked-out cheeks. But did you know that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was invented by the retailer Montgomery Ward in 1939? Rudolph and all of the other reindeer were a genius idea because it made Christmas far more consumer-facing. Prior to Rudolph and the other reindeer pulling Santa's sleigh, Santa used to arrive at your house in a basket, hanging on the shoulders of Krampus, a humanoid monster with a horned nose that was scary as F. Fortunately for us and Krampus, he was shelved by the fascists in Austria in the 1930s for his pagan look. Let's face it, if Krampus came through the threshold of a modern American household today, he'd be shot, murdered on a ring cam for violating castle doctrine. I digress. Allow me to ask, as I always do, are you living the dream? Is it your dream? And if not, what are you doing about it? Do you have a New Year's resolution to find a new job? Maybe start your own company? Maybe get in touch with someone from your past, like the one that got away? Whatever it is, I do hope you achieve your goals, and 2026 is going to be great for you. I personally do not have the willpower for New Year's resolutions. My bad habits are too much a part of my DNA. Abstaining from bourbon would be like cutting off my legs. Replacing my breakfast burrito with Honey Nut Cheerios? That never works. I still have 3 unopened boxes of that stuff in the pantry. Want one? Before we jump into 2026, how was your 2025? If I'm being honest, I thought it sucked. I think 2025 is the hardest year since 2020, and that was the year of COVID, and if you live in Minneapolis, the year of George Floyd. 2025 was hard on every family with a budget, everyone who thought the checks and balances in the American government were foolproof, but we have a fool tearing them down right now, and Minneapolis is in the news once again for all things fraud. You want to hear something funny? I was having a boozy lunch with a friend of mine a couple weeks ago, and we were recapping 2025, and our collective depression became palpable. And then I asked, what did 2 guys like us in the 1950s have to worry about? Honestly, what kept those people up at night? Think about it. World War II was over. Ike was president, the economy was fantastic, cigarettes were healthy, whiskey was a vitamin, the cars were dope, the kids were polite, and granted the sex was all probably missionary, I would settle for that today if we had a little bit more stability. I know, I can hear you now. But Oscar, they had to worry about nuclear holocaust and the Cold War. So do we. But Oscar, they didn't have vaccines and the kids were dying of polio and tuberculosis. We're heading in that direction again. Anyway, the world is a busy place and things were easier in the 1950s. Although the average life expectancy of a man in 1955 was 65 years old. In 2025, it's 75 years old. So the optimist will say that we get an extra 10 years to live. But yours truly sees that last 10 years as a window for the industrial health complex to bankrupt you. In sum, 2025 took me by surprise. I had high hopes for it, and they all fell flat. So today, I am making 6 predictions for 2026. Spoiler alert, I don't think things are going to get much better. They could actually get worse. But my predictions will allow me to prepare. I will say this, and I've never said this before, I hope some of these predictions are wrong. Here you go. You ready? I made one prediction for each of the following categories: politics, sports, the economy, climate, entertainment, and the Jeffrey Epstein. And here they are in that order. Number 1, politics. China will invade Taiwan, period. Xi Jinping is jealous that Russia gets to throw its military might at Ukraine. He's also jealous that America gets to throw its military might against anyone we want, and he wants to measure his little rice noodle up against Putin's and Trump's. I believe there are 2 things that will make this invasion possible. 1, a recently released CIA analysis states that if China invades Taiwan, the U.S. really can't stop it from happening and will lose a catastrophic amount of manpower and sea power if it tries. Taiwan is an island too far away for us to defend and too far away for us to resupply. 2, the U.S. seems to have a real hard salami right now for Venezuela. The administration wants to overthrow its leader and take its natural resources, not unlike Putin's goals for Ukraine. So, taking a page from the U.S. supply of arms to Ukraine, it has been reported that currently China is arming Venezuela and Mexico with the goals of tying up the U.S. into yet another military quagmire, thus reducing the American public's desire to defend Taiwan if we are already in a war with Venezuela, leaving Taiwan wide open to a Chinese invasion. I also believe that the invasion of Taiwan will take days, not weeks. Xi, although he wants to flex his military rice noodle, the technology for which was stolen from us, wants to not destroy the very manufacturing infrastructure he wants to control. As for this administration's reaction, the king of spin and the new namesake of the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts, Donald Trump, will tell the world it's all good, that the invasion was his idea, that he approved Xi's invasion of Taiwan, and that it doesn't really matter because we can just make computer chips in Ohio. Yeah, right. Number 2, sports. I am not much of a sports guy to begin with, but the following prediction I knock out of the park every year, and that is who will win the Super Bowl. I've never gotten this wrong, ever. So are you ready for it? Okay. The winner of the 2026 Super Bowl will be a football team. I don't know how this happens every year, but it's always a football team that wins the Super Bowl. It's consistent. It's amazing. Good for them. Now, if you're asking me which team will win the Super Bowl, I don't know, but I bet they're going to be pretty good. Number 3, the economy. I hate to say it, but I think the economy is going to take a major hit in 2026 because AI is a bubble. I read and watch the news every day, just like everybody else, and even the big tech AI proponents are hinting that this whole thing is a house of cards. The fact is, we are in an AI gold rush. What I mean by that is there is so much money being thrown at the development of AI data centers powered by solar farms in particular, that anyone with an IQ of over 35 wants to throw their name in the hat and build something for Meta, Google, and the like. But these AI data centers powered by solar farms easily cost anywhere between $5 and $15 billion in development costs. For perspective, you can build a brand new football stadium in the heart of a metropolitan city in the US for less than what it costs to build one AI data center in the farm fields of Nebraska. I can toss a little bit more validity onto my prediction because I am getting an insider's look at AI and the spending. You see, part of the way I make a living is to introduce companies to capital. I have a network of investment banks and family offices on one side of my network, while on the other side, I have a network of people who are looking for big funding in healthcare, energy, and infrastructure. Lately, I have been getting these half-assed PowerPoint decks from wannabe solar farm integrators and hopeful AI data center builders seeking billions in debt or equity. For the last 3 projects I vetted out, the combined total capital needed was $20 billion. When I probed the CEOs of each project on their validity, they all had one thing in common. They were entirely void of experience. The solar guys had never built a solar field before. The AI data center builders had never built an AI data center before, but they all see this path to quick cash, getting in fast and then getting out fast. It is all eerily reminiscent of the housing crash of 2008, 2009, when everyone dumped their gigs as car mechanics and bank tellers and marketed themselves as home builders. So they built a couple of balsa wood and plaster houses, sold them for $2 million each, and then got out when the bubble popped, leaving the rest of us to clean up the mess and bail out the banks. The big tech companies are throwing trillions of dollars at AI infrastructure in an effort to beat out their competition. But the supply for AI has grossly outpaced the demand. People like you and me don't use AI for anything other than porn and making the theme song to this podcast. The reason this bubble is so dangerous for our economy is when you look at the S&P 500, 40% of the value of the S&P 500 is actually comprised of only 10 companies, all of whom are doubling and tripling down on their spending on AI. So when the bubble pops, the S&P 500 will lose substantial value, cooling our economy. And this is going to hurt as recessions do. If you're not looking for a job now, you might soon be looking for one. Number four, climate. I love the outdoors. My family loves the outdoors. We spend a lot of time outside, hiking, camping, fishing, and in my case, hunting. When I was in middle school, my science teacher started talking about global warming, and I've been paying attention to it ever since. And thus, my prediction for 2026 is that the sun will rise in the east and set in the west every single day of 2026. I can hear you. You're saying, Oscar, has this ever happened before? Yes, but only for the last 4 billion years. Or, for those who take the Bible literally, for the last 4,000 years, ever since the dinosaurs and Adam and Eve walked the earth together. Number 5, entertainment. My big prediction for 2026 is that Ryan Reynolds will destroy his career by having a Will Smith moment of his own. Do you remember Will Smith? He used to be a movie star. Everybody loved him. He was always so charming, funny, well-dressed, self-effacing on all the late-night talk shows. And then one night at the Oscars, the host, Chris Rock, made a terrible joke about Will's wife. She's an actress of no particular import. The joke wasn't terrible in the sense that it was mean and funny. It was neither. It was a throwaway comment that was forgotten as soon as it left the comedian's mouth. Anywho, Will Smith didn't think the joke was funny, got up, walked onto the stage, and smacked Chris Rock. Career over. No one has heard from or has cared to hear from Will Smith ever since. Why? Because like all things Hollywood, Will Smith was himself a facade, a character. Deep down, he was an angry, insecure control freak. We are surrounded by such villains in our day-to-day lives. That's why we go to the movies to begin with, for escapism. The moment we see our movie heroes as real villains, we are out. Cut to Ryan Reynolds. Look, I don't watch the guy's movies, and I don't like Marvel movies, and he's done nothing else I can name. But he is everywhere, all the time, and in my algorithm, and it's annoying. I've seen him in interviews and commercials and the late-night talk shows, and well, I have a sixth sense for phonies, and I can smell his BS through my HP. The dude just seems like an angry, insecure twat with too much spray tan and what looks to be of late like a facelift. Similarly to Will Smith, he's married to a talentless actress who seems by all accounts to be a totally insecure, control freak coos who is in a $100 million lawsuit over a 39-cent movie. Anywho, I see things are bubbling up for this guy, and although I don't want to see him fail, I wouldn't mind if he failed just so that he would leave my algorithm. Number 6, the Jeffrey Epstein. The president of the United States might be the most powerful man in the world, and the second most powerful man in the world might be Pale Ale Pete Hegseth. the Secretary of DUIs. But the most influential man in the world is a dead pedophile named Jeffrey Epstein. And although we've been hearing about this vile shill for years, the unraveling is just beginning. I don't think we will ever know how many layers to this onion there actually are. Sure, fine. We can justly assume, with what we know now, that the most powerful men in the New World Order statutorily raped juvenile women. This in itself is disappointing and egregious. Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Prince Andrew, just to name a few. And let's not forget the overrated director, Woody Allen. And yes, he is the most overrated director next to Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino, overrated? Don't tell me you didn't fall asleep during The Hateful Eight or Jackie Brown. Those movies suck. Anyway, it's funny to me that Woody Allen's name is in the same breath as the other guys, but if you know anything about his past, an allegation of molesting the under 18 crowd won't surprise you one bit. The sad thing for me is that these are men who we were told to look up to. I will argue that at some point in my life, I did. Now, I would not allow either of these guys in my house, or talk to my wife, or be within 500 yards of my children. But even more frightening is we don't know who orchestrated this Epstein guy. Sure, he existed. He was a human being, and we think his name was Jeffrey Epstein. But the rest of it just doesn't compute. He didn't go from zero to hero in the 30 years of his prime and have that kind of success and impact with, by all accounts, an average IQ. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but we all talk about the real people who are pulling the global strings. And it isn't Trump. It isn't Clinton. It isn't Gates. It isn't even Epstein. It's the guys behind Epstein. And the guys behind his murder, although I think Trump ordered that one. Something is going to unravel. First Lady Kash Patel ordered 100 FBI agents to redact all the juicy bits of the Epstein file. But even if he didn't, and he had the balls and expertise to actually investigate something, even the FBI, who I do have the utmost respect for, wouldn't be able to unravel the entire story. It goes way, way, way up the chain of power into the stratosphere, where law enforcement wouldn't know where to look if they were even allowed to enter. Alas, my predictions for 2026 in sum. Number 1, a football team will win the Super Bowl. Number 2, the sun will rise in the east and set in the west every single day. Number 3, Ryan Reynolds will get his comeuppance. Number 4, Xi Jinping will get to come. Number 5, the AI bubble is going to pop and it will hurt. And number 6, in an age where more and more Americans don't trust their government, people will finally start to see behind the curtain and get a sense that there really is a Wizard of Oz pulling the strings. Yikes! Too dark? I hope not. No one ever said next year is going to be easy, but I'm actually coming out and saying it's going to be really tough. But we have each other, and we need to stick together. So remember, you are not alone. Whatever it is you're going through, other people have gone through and have come out the other side stronger. So hang in there. Also, you are loved. People do love you. Except for Ryan Reynolds. Sociopaths love no one. Thanks for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe to the Oscar Barnes Show and leave a review. You can find me just about anywhere you get your podcasts. Take care, and until next time, goodbye.
That was the Oscar Barnes Show. We hoped you learned something that you didn't know. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Oscar wants this podcast of his to